Our lawn is in need of mowing, but before we do that, I need to come over and mulch some of the native trees. You can see the tulip poplar right there is fairly well hidden in the grass, and my husband can't see it when he mows. We've tried to tag these with tape, but they're still just a little bit too hard to see. There's actually several more in that direction that you can't see at all. So today I'm going to mulch around these so that they don't get mowed over. Tennessee has a lot of really interesting native species that lend themselves to a food forest or even to just an orchard or gardening in general. In Tennessee, we have native pecans. There used to be native chestnuts, which unfortunately were largely wiped out. There's also native mulberries, elderberries, raspberries, and surprise, ginseng. I bet you didn't think, when you were thinking ginseng, you didn't think Tennessee, right? And also pawpaws. So there are a great number, and that's a limited list, but there's a great number of plants that are native that are really good for this purpose of building a food forest. And today we're just going to take some time to protect a tulip poplar, a pecan, and a mulberry that I put in the ground this year. They're only about yay big, so they're in danger of being mowed because they're just out in the grass. So we're gonna do some things to them today just to make sure that they stay safe. And the purpose of me having these, I'm trying as much as possible to put in some native plants. I'm still using other plants that are non-natives, but I am trying to incorporate native plants into my food forest. It's better for us, it's better for the plant, it's better for the wildlife. And even things like the tulip poplar. The tulip poplar isn't going to give me any food, but it's great for the bees and the hummingbirds. If you're unfamiliar with tulip poplars, they get a nice, big, beautiful orange and yellow flower that resembles a tulip, and the pollinators go nuts over these things, and they grow very quickly. So I'm looking forward to that being a feature in our yard. So come along with me while we do some food forest chores. Weed juice. I'm going to water this now simply because the cardboard and mulch can act as a barrier. It can both keep water in and water out. So I'm going to give this little tree a nice good watering. I've got some homemade weed juice fertilizer that was just made from soaking weeds in water, and going to give it a nice dousing with this before I lay the cardboard on, because we have a week of 90-degree weather coming here in the south, East Tennessee, and that could be very hard on this little tree if it's not going to have any access to water. I know the prevailing imagery of women gardening or building a food forest tends to be women in a sundress and a pretty little brimmed hat, happily harvesting their tomatoes and green beans. But listen, ladies, this is what building your garden looks like. So get yourself a $5 pair of shorts from Walmart and get to it. But as an aside, if you want to harvest in your pretty little sundress and brimmed hat and put that on Facebook or Instagram, you can totally do that. Yeah, no one needs to know you look like this when you garden. We're gonna do the same process again, this time with the little native pecan I've got here. As you can tell, it's very hard to see in the grass. And we don't want this little guy to get mowed over. If you're not well versed in wheelbarrow technique, allow me to demonstrate while I'm doing this how you get the last little bit of stuff out of the wheelbarrow. You prop it up and give the back a little tug, all of it will come out. Ready? Last little bit. Clean barrel. My first job was mucking stalls at a horse ranch at the age of 9. Now, these days, they'd probably have words for that involve things like child labor. But the ranch had a work and ride program in which children could work for 3 hours and earn an hour of riding time on one of the horses. And I really wanted to ride horses, so I would work for 6 hours to get 2 hours of riding time. And while that might not seem a good thing to modern sentiments perhaps, I think that working is a privilege, especially when working affords us the things we want most. And speaking of work being a privilege, this work is going to give me the privilege of a mulberry. And as we make our way over this way, the work I did today is going to give me a privilege of having a pecan tree that one of these days is going to produce pecans, since I've done the work of making sure it doesn't get mowed. Here it is in the context of the rest of the food forest. You can see right there is a hazelnut tree, and at the back over in this direction, that's an apple and an apricot, and there's the row of plums right there. So that's how it all fits in the context of the food forest. I put it way in the back here because it's supposed to get really tall. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to my subscribers. Thank you so much. You are as numerous as the gnats around my face.